the Cornish pasty is popular across the UK, and there's even laws to say if it isn't made in a certain area in Cornwall, I believe it's not a Cornish pasty. So you can't call it a Cornish pasty. I think it's a law or something like that. To protect the original Cornish pasty or something like this. Nonetheless, it's not just popular in Cornwall; it's popular across the UK with different companies making their own version, and obviously they can't call it Cornish pasty because they can't, but they pretty much is a Cornish pasty that's just not made in Cornwall. Um, and the history of it is interesting, and I'm sure many people have mentioned it. And pasties have been part of UK or British food or cuisine from as far as back as the 13th century, but at the time it was only for the rich and upper classes and royalty, and the fillings had things like venison, beef, lamb, seafood, and is flavored with rich gravies and fruits. So it wasn't, unless you were rich and had the money, you couldn't have it. Until the 17th and 18th century, that's when it was adopted by miners and farm workers in Cornwall to allow them to have a meal or whilst mining and keeping them going while they're working. The wives of the miners, they'd prepare Cornish pasty, or as we know it today, and so it provide the miners with enough food to keep going during work. And the main part is that it have a thick crust, which when you put it in the mine, it wouldn't the pasty would still be fine, and because they're mining, they'd have dirty hands. They could hold on to the crust, and the rest of the pasty um, wouldn't be dirty, so they'd be able to eat it and then just throw away the crust. Um, and that's why it was something that was useful, because they found a solution to not waste the filling, and they'd only waste the crust by holding on to it, and obviously you needed to hold on to something, and so that was something that the creativity back then was something that we still hold today. And back then the fillings were different as well. There wasn't that much meat. It was expensive, so there was less beef in it, more sweet and potato. And even then, a carrot wasn't popular then in the Swedish, in the Cornish pasty. It was sweet and potato. Later on, carrot was put in. During 1800s, it was like if you had two Cornish pasties and one had carrot and the other one didn't, people would take the one that doesn't have a carrot. The one with carrot would be looked at like almost like um, the second option. It's not in your first thought. And nowadays there's carrot and other things added in, and there's a lot more meat, but it's still a lot of what it was back then when it was invented.